everybody, and welcome to a brand new episode of CLX Foundry Live, where we go deep inside why I look like a librarian. Because I can look at you like this, and you're going to feel guilty. I'm DJ Blue PDX, your host, and joining me live from our studios in Wichita, Kansas, it is our lead technical expert, Paul Steffens, and our master builder, it is Zach Killingsworth. Gentlemen, hello!
Hi!
Hello.
Is it as cold there as it is here?
Oh, definitely.
It's pretty chilly.
We doubled down from yesterday.
Oh, my God, it's ridiculous. I'll tell you what's not ridiculous. Well, it's kind of ridiculous. Let's talk about the ridiculous stuff we're about to put in a big old case for our friend Eric in Texas.
All right, so going inside Eric's build, starting out with our processor, we've got the brand new Ryzen 7 9800X3D. To cool that, we've got a 360 AIO from Leon Lee. This is the Galahad 2 Black, so it's got a lot of RGB on it and a nice cap as well. For our motherboard, we've got an Asus Prime X670E-Pro Wi-Fi. For our memory, we've got 2 sticks of G.Skill, 16GB DDR5, 6000 speed Trident Z5 in black with the RGB heat spreaders, so a total of 32 gigs of memory in the system. For our storage drives, we got 2 of them. We got 2 1TB Western Digital SN850X black M.2 NVMe drives. Now, we have used these drives a couple times on the show before, but we don't get to see them that often, so they're pretty nice. For our video card, we've got RTX 4070 Ti Super, it's the 16 gig. And for our fans, we've got 10 of our GameDS Aeolus M3s in black. And last but not least, our power supply, we've got the 1000-watt EVGA GT 80 Plus Gold Foley modular.
Nice! That is awesome. So we're going to start getting our case prepped. Don't forget that on this show, if you've got questions, whether you're building your own PC or you're working on trying to fix whatever build you might have screwed up, to be honest, that's usually my case, please ask away. If you hear a term that you're not familiar with, always go with the default of ask the question, because we're going to answer it as best we can. There's no such thing as a dumb question, because Sharknado. And for those who don't get the reference, at some point an intern in the middle of a creative briefing said, well, I mean, I have an idea. Since we don't have any other films on the docket, we could do a movie about sharks and tornadoes. $5 billion franchise. So there's no such thing as a stupid question. Yeah, no such thing as a dumb question. We got over here on the purple sides, we have got Cosworth in the house. What's up, Bubba? Good to see you, my friend. We've also got K Nemesis. Yes, learning to grow together. Hello, welcome in. Over on the TikTok side, we got Twitch Zero in the house. Man Bear Pig. I love that name. That's hilarious. Welcome in. And of course, on the green side, if you got a comment, please feel free. You're welcome and welcome here. Alrighty. Now, today's going to be a fun day. Did you guys know there's a brand new map being released for Black Ops 6 Zombies?
No, I did not. I have not played any Black Ops.
It's going to be so amazing. I'm going to, listen, I'm so excited to see how quickly I end up dying in that new map. Yeah.
How many gigs is it?
But I'll tell you what, it's not, I'm thinking it's like 6, but I'll tell you how many gigs it's not. It's not as many gigs as it would take for 4 minutes if we ended up using the I.O. on this beautiful Prime X670E Pro Wi-Fi motherboard. As Zach will show, here we go. So, as we take a look on the back, we've got ourselves, obviously, our HDMI and our display ports, which are super cool. And then if you take a look down across the top, we've obviously got 4 different USB 3.2 Gen 2 ports, 1 Type A and 3 Type A, 1 Type C. You've got 5 USB 3.2 Gen 1 ports. There's 4 Type A's, 1 Type C. You've got a USB 3.2 Gen 2 by 2, and that means you got 10 gigs up, 10 gigs down, and that's a USB Type C. You've also got your Realtek 2.5 gig Ethernet port jack. You got 5 audio jacks plus your BIOS flashback button. Everything you could think of is right there, and it's all awesome. So when it comes to connectivity, when you're choosing your motherboard, it's really important that you think about what you're going to be doing with it. And I say this because Vanna White over here, there we go. I say this because when, as a content creator, obviously, I'm on a dual PC system. So I have a streaming PC and a gaming PC, but the streaming PC is where all the peripherals. I've got Go XLRs and Stream Decks and keyboards and Astro, Mixamp Pros and lighting. All these things have to be able to connect to the motherboard. So it's important that when you're choosing the motherboard, it has enough of a throughput from a data standpoint to manage all those peripherals. Now, in order to manage those peripherals, you've got to make sure that your system has a brain. And you know what I feel about brains. God
Wow.
damn it.
We almost spilled our brains on the floor.
Wow. That was a catch.
These things
That
are
was a
durable.
catch. That was we spiked into triple digits on the heart rate there.
Oh my God.
I do apologize. I'm professional. And
So, what we're going to be using a professional processor. This, of course, is brought to you by AMD. It's the AMD Ryzen 7 9800X3D octa-core. Now, these are different. First, I want Zach to talk about how you know where to put it into where you're going to put it into.
so every processor is keyed. All of them have a little triangle or diamond on one corner, and our motherboard has a diamond on it. So we just want to match those corners up. It cannot be installed one of the other 4 directions or 3 directions, so we can just go ahead.
Don't force it.
Correct.
Yeah. All right.
This one?
Kane Nemesis says, still enjoying my CLX Scarab that I won a while back ago. Yeah, let's go! Kane, that is awesome. I dig it, I dig it, I dig it a lot. Ordy, did we ever get the stream straightened on Tuesday? We're working on that still. And you know what? The joy of winter and ISPs. Kane Nemesis says 600 gig. 600 gigs of what?
That's how big that new Call of Duty map is.
No, I think it's like 6 gigs. 6, maybe 11.
Sure it is.
I don't know.
You
My
need to move your
PC
decimal
downloaded it
point.
real fast. Yeah. All right. Now, we've got a whole lot of things in there. And Zach, I'm going to ask you about these things. Well, actually, let's start with the way we're going to cool this. We'll go with that first. So, as you can see, Zach's pulling apart a really huge package full of, I would say, adapters. So these adapters are what help you use an AIO or a closed loop liquid cooler on anything from an Intel to an AMD build, but you have to understand what you're doing. Zach, how do you know what you're supposed to use?
Yes, so everything that I just separated out, we have our Intel on one side and our AMD on the other side. We are going to be rocking some AMD equipment, so we just want to make sure that we choose the right stuff to plug everything up. That makes it safe and secure.
Still
Thank
left
you.
the plastic on there. I thought we might want to show that.
Ruh-roh. Plastic on there. Why do hick?
So some AIOs
Oh, look
come
at
with
that.
a little plastic covering on that copper plate. I left it on there so Zach could show you. You always want to make sure you remove this.
Yep, that is an absolutely correct statement because guess what happens if you don't? Paul?
Your processor will not cool near as well as it should. Now, we've seen systems turn on and game for a while with that plastic on there, but it definitely does cause issues. So
Until it melts and catches fire. Good Lord. Now, as you can see, Zach is screwing in little things onto the motherboard that look like those pegs that we used in Battleship. I say that because I fell asleep with my dogs yesterday and woke up to Battleship playing on the TV. and I
Liam
forgot
Neeson's.
how amazing of a ridiculous film it was. But that's not ridiculous. It's how you're going to cool your processor. So we're going to use an AIO for this. And this, of course, is a Leon Lee Galahad AIO 360. Paul, what the heck do all of those terms mean?
all right, so we'll start with AIO. AIO means all-in-one. So this thing comes out of the box with coolant in it. You don't need to take off the tubes or do anything to it. All that you got to do is grab the right set of hardware that matches your motherboard socket and install that like Zach just did, and you're good to go. These things cool really well, especially these Leon Lee ones. And they're really easy to install. They've come a long way.
They have, and they're gorgeous. Now, there's this giant circle on there. What does that do?
That is thermal paste, right? That or this
No,
circle?
I'm talking
This
that
circle?
giant, the white, the circle. Yes, the one that's facing up.
Okay, so that's our pump cover right there. Now that clear, transparent-ish is going to be a lot of RGB, and then we'll have that kind of displaying stuff. And you can use it to
See
check
yourself. Yeah.
You can use it to help your dentist. There we go. When you're going to be tightening down your AIO, because of course that's very important, you want to make sure you do it in a specific order. Zach?
So just like Dad taught us when changing that spare tire, we want to bounce around in a star formation. We don't want to apply even pressure in a circular motion because that will apply overpressure on one side. So by bouncing around, we are slowly applying pressure across our expensive bits.
Yes. As soon as you get it all tightened down, you're good. Now, you'll notice that the Leon Lee has a really interesting element, the way that they actually hook in their tubes to their radiator. Now, that radiator obviously is what's on the right-hand side of your screen right now. So, Paul, when it comes to establishing where that needs to go, how does that work?
So the main thing with this AIO and pretty much every AIO is where these tubes go into the top of the radiator right there. We want that above this pump here. Now we're going to have the entire radiator above the pump in this build. That's how we do it in most of the cases. But if you had to put this in the side of the case, you would just want to make sure these tubes are at the top so that any air that's inside of there stays at the top of the radiator and doesn't get into your pump.
Now, speaking of things that are on top, let's talk about our top forms of cooling, because we've got a great question coming in from Givenchy over on the TikTok side. It says, what's better, water cooling or air?
It's a good question. So just as a simple answer, I would say water, but there are a lot of good air coolers out there that can perform similar to like a 120 AIO. So if you prefer air cooling, there's a lot of good coolers out there if you don't want to go the liquid cooling route. But for me, liquid cooling's pretty much always going to be superior.
And I have a question. Do you, like, I feel like just liquid cooling for me has always been quieter.
Yeah, it is quieter. It's, you know, if you got an air cooler in there, that's obviously a pretty big fan that has to cool that. Now, we obviously will put fans on this radiator, but they don't have to run that fast to keep everything cool, so they stay quiet.
Yevzer, I hope I said that correctly, says AIO is the best ever. I agree. I have one here. And what we're going to be doing next is we're going to be taking a look at how we're going to connect the way of cooling the radiator. So the pump pumps the water across the processor into one, and it filters it all the way through that radiator and then back out. We're doing the RAM first, aren't we?
We can do anything. We're getting the RAM out right now. I'm going to get these M.2s.
Yeah, get it out. I figured we might be going with fans, but okay. We're going with RAM first. Now, start talking about what we got for the way that the brain.
Sorry.
The way that the brain works for your PC, you've obviously got your primary, control center, which is your AMD Ryzen 7 9800X 3D. But you've got to give it room to think. How do you think? You think with your RAM, that's random access memory, and that. We have two 16 gig sticks of G.Skill 30s DDR5 6000 for a total of 32 gigs. Now, this is great RAM. I'm a huge fan of G.Skills. I believe I have G.Skill in mine as well. And I have 64 gigs. It's fantastic. There we go. Now, when you're popping these in, you want to pop them in. Obviously, if you've got 4 channels on your board, pop them in starting with channel 2 and channel 4. It doesn't matter whether you plug in 4 or 2 first. So long as you're in 2 and 4. Guys, why is that important?
That is where CPU is going to look first when you're looking at memory, and it's what our motherboard manual tells us to do. So 9 times out of 10, if you got a board with 4 slots of memory and 2 sticks of RAM to put in, you're going to use slots 2 and 4, but you can always consult your motherboard manual to make sure you are installing it correctly.
Proof that people who design things back in the 80s when it comes to proper protocols for installing components into your motherboard were drinking when they did it. Because I would think it would be 1 and 2 and then 3 and 4. Nope. Not even close.
That's
right.
for this, and that's only used when we use the fans.
Oh, I gotcha.
Now, what you're noticing that Zach's pulling off something that's called a heat sink. Now, there's multiple heat sinks across this entire board, which is fantastic because this is a very well-equipped board, to be fair, if I'm being completely honest. There are 4 different M.2 slots, but the top one is going to be your primary, and then we've got a lower one because we are going to have multiple M.2s. So these are both Western Digital SN850Xs. They're NVMe M.2s. They're a terabyte each, and so we're going to put one on the top and one on the bottom. So 2 things. Zach, I see there's looks like a blue label on the back of the heatsink. What are those for?
Yes, so this is our thermal paste, but it is in pad formation. This is how graphics cards, your memory modulars, this is how all of that stuff gets its heat that it produces transferred away from it. So like just like these heat shields that are on our memory, there's little pieces of thermal pad in those to help transfer heat. So just a way to transfer the little amount of heat away from the technology.
Nice. Now, Paul,
Yeah.
people might have a question about what the hell is an M.2? So my question is, how does an M.2 differ from other drives?
So an M.2 is mainly referring to the form factor. So that small size that you saw Zach just install here, so that is our M.2. And within that M.2, it is an SSD, which means it's a solid state drive. So comparing it to a hard disk drive, like the old mechanicals that we all used to know and love, these are a lot faster. Like we're talking booting up in a matter of seconds versus minutes. And if you have games on there, you're not going to run into any load screens or anything like that. Now the hard disk drives still do have a purpose as secondary storage. They're a great cheap option. If you need like a 6 terabyte drive, you can get one pretty cheap on a hard disk drive. So there is still room for those to be in your system, but you know, pretty much everyone's going to tell you to get at least an M.2 for your operating system drive.
We have a great question coming in on the purple side from Bear Lost. Hi, Bear. Says, do all motherboards have the limitation of having to cut down the PCIe slot to 8 if you run two NVMe drives?
So not all motherboards, no. It's going to vary on every different model that you do. So that's just something you would want to look at when you're buying it. Obviously, the higher end boards are going to have more capability than the lower end ones, but it is different across all of them.
That's one of the reasons that I chose the ROG Strix formula, the Maximus formula. This thing's got more PCIe lanes and I have hair follicles.
That's not saying.
I guess that's not really yeah, I know. Okay, there we go.
Those are long ones.
You want me to put that in?
You can pitch them, and those are like only good on those fans, and I save the other long ones, which are better.
Okay.
Speaking of things that are better, you know what's better than just a radiator sitting alone? A radiator that's popular.
True.
So we're going to give the radiator fans. See what I did there? All right. Now, we have got 10 total Game DS Aeolus M3 ARGB fans that are going in here. These are all coming in the black frame. So when it comes to how you cool down the radiator, it is interesting to take a look at what the most beneficial way for airflow is. How do you tell?
So we want to be pushing air through the radiator. So air is going to be coming into the side that you all can see right now, the top. There's no fan grill on this side, so that's how we know that's our intake side. So we're going to be pushing air through the radiator. You could set these fans up on the other side in the same direction to have air pulling through, but pushing air through is going to cool it better than having it pull air through.
Got it. And as far as push-pulls, I always point this out just because I'm proud of it, because these gentlemen did it. I have a push-pull on my 360, which has 3 in the front, 3 in the back. And I love saying this because it's why I have to use pins in my green screen to keep the green screen away from my PC, because the fans are so strong that it sucks the fabric right up into the back of the computer. Which is hilarious. Indian of Temperance, how is your mom? She is doing well. Thanksgiving was great. Her cancer energy count is a lot farther down. Thank you so much for asking. Back over to TikTok's Man Bear Pig says, my son and I mainly want to build a computer. Would 4K buy me this system being built? Ooh, yeah. Let me send you a link, a share link. Check this link out. Of course, obviously, prices change based on location, so check that out. PC Gamer 648 over the purple side says, my friend's PC is 5 years old, and his Wi-Fi card keeps making his Wi-Fi not work, or work but not good enough to run a game, and his Bluetooth is having issues as well.
A BIOS, or there might be an update for the Wi-Fi card or network card.
Definitely check that. And if, oh God, I hate to be the one saying this, but if you're in Windows Update, there is an option for you to look down on the bottom where it says additional updates, and then you can get updates from different component manufacturers that are in your system. If you trust Windows Update. Indian of Temperance says, how do you know if your case has enough room for a push-pull?
So that's going to be limited by a few things. So like you said, your case for sure, but it's also going to be your motherboard and your memory most likely. It's also going to depend on where you mount that radiator. So for DJ system, DJ has a push-pull. Typically we mount 360 AIOs and those O11 XLs in the top. But with the size of his motherboard and memory right here, it was too tall and it was pushing the radiator down too far and it was bumping into that. So we mounted his radiator to the side where we have a lot of room. So you want to look at how tall your motherboard heat sinks are, your memory, your AIO, stuff like that. And if you can mount it somewhere else in the case where you got a lot of room, do that.
Nice. Shadell. Yeah, by the way, yeah, my motherboard's a big so Channel 4 asks, what are your opinions on NZXT fans? Well, I mean, if you're a fan of another product, that's okay. I mean, we all love what we love. I'm a fan of all things McLaren. Wait, that's not what you were asking, was it?
Oh, ow. Whoa, that was... Whoa.
Paul?
I've never used NZXT fan, so I couldn't tell you. I haven't touched an NZXT thing in like a decade. Back when they had those giant Phantom cases, my buddy had like a big one in red. Kind of looked like those like Elite Stormtrooper, the waxy, the shiny.
I will say I'm
ones.
a big fan of NZXT because of the booth they had at PAX Australia a few years ago, and it was fantastic. It was absolutely beautiful. Channel's like, no, this is not what I was talking about, dude. Let's see here. Yo, Clover, what you doing? WSP, when ordering parts, does the cords sole... Okay, hold on. I'm going to read this because it says WSP, when ordering parts, does the cords sole with it?
Come.
I think that means come. Are the cords come with it, or do you have to order them separately? Good question. Oh, I see that down below. Sorry, Clover.
Do the...
I would assume the power supply cables and cables. Yes,
Yeah.
you can order a cable mod kit if you get a modular power supply that they come with cables, but you can add colored cables after if you would like. And then as far as like the power cable to plug into the wall for the power supply, yes, all of that does come with the order.
Nice. Yeah, I got all of everything that was extra in the backs is literally right there. I could see it because they come with a ton of stuff, by the way. There's a ton of stuff coming in there. But you know what is also great to see what they come in with is this wonderful little gadget that our friend Zach is screwing in here, and this is what we call an anti-sag device brace. Now, we haven't gotten to the graphics card yet, but Paul, can you explain why these cool little things are necessary? Good look at that. That's like how I find out that I'm fat at the doctor's office. They move it back and forth, and I'm like, you're a liar. You're a damn liar! Anyways, what are those for?
All right, so those are for these larger cards. So this build where you got a PNY 4070 Ti Super. So this is kind of right at the threshold where we would want to start using an anti-sag bracket. So this card is a little bit longer and it does have some weight to it. So using one of these anti-sag brackets is going to support it from both sides. That way over time it won't droop down and cause damage to the motherboard or the card itself.
Because nobody wants a droopy graphics card.
No way, we got to fight gravity here.
No. Oh, Lord, that's wicked. I'm terrible today. This is awful. You know what's not awful, though, is the amount of clearance we get off of one of these incredible systems. As you can see, there's a really large foot base on here, and we've also got, obviously, our mesh network that goes into the filtration process, but the key is making sure that your PC has enough room to breathe so those lower fans can bring up the air and push it into the system. What are some good practices or best practices to ensure that your system has enough ventilation, but also isn't at risk for electrostatic discharge?
So this area right here is what you want to keep clear. Now, it doesn't seem like a lot. It's probably only a couple inches, but this is how our PC is going to breathe mainly. Now, we do have a lot of fans in this build.
Done.
What's that? Yeah. So we want to keep this area clear so you don't put it on any shag carpeting or anything like that. That way your PC can breathe properly. We do have this nice dust filter right here. Just slides out for when you want to clean it, wipe it down, slap it back in, you're good to go.
So what you're saying is I would not have been a good candidate for one of these PCs back in 1983 when my parents still had the black and gold shag carpet.
True. Yeah, this would not be a good case choice for that.
Got it. Getcha. PC Gamer says, you've checked for the updated drivers for the individual components, and there isn't anything. His PC is really dusty. Ooh, vacuum it out, man. Let's hear. So Man Bear Pig asked a great question. If I start ordering parts for the computer, are there step-by-step instructions to putting it together? Which, and Man Bear said, I don't want to it up.
Yeah, are you just talking about configuring it on our website or building it on your own?
I think he's talking about ordering parts on their own. But Paul, what's the upside and downside of ordering it from us versus building it yourself?
Well, ordering it from us, you obviously get it professionally built. You always get at least a year warranty on there with lifetime labor and tech support. Also, a good perk about having it built through us is that we're going to take care of you if anything goes wrong. If you order all these parts separately on your own, you might have to go through a whole bunch of different processes to get replacement parts or anything like that. We're going to take care of you no matter what happens with that PC. Now, that being said, if you want to build it on your own, we definitely encourage that as well. PC building is a pretty fun hobby to get into, and it's not like you get to build a ton of PCs every day unless you do it for work. So if that is something you want to do, we always record these. These are on YouTube. You can come in here and ask us any questions you have. The first things I would say would be build your motherboard outside of the case, like how we did at the beginning of the show. Get everything as assembled as it can be outside of the case, and then try to put it all in there at once.
Yes, absolutely. How much better than the brother? Wait, what? Hold on. Captain Kill him. You've been killing it. Captain Kill's been killing it. Over on the purple side, his PC is really dusty. Let's see here. You need to blow it out. For the 120 AIO, millimeter 20 AIO, what does the wire to the CPU do? What?
So you're probably referring to the wire that comes out of your AIO. Now, if your AIO doesn't have any lighting and it's just an AIO, you're going to have a motherboard fan header coming out of there. And so you just want to plug that into the CPU fan header on your motherboard. It should be somewhere near the CPU socket or at the top. It might also say AIO fan. A lot of the newer boards know that they're most likely going to be using an AIO, so they just labeled the CPU fan header as like AIO pump. You want to plug it into one of those, and the reason for that is it will regulate the voltage going to it so that it spins faster when your PC is running hot, so it'll cool it better, and it will slow it down and make it more efficient if it doesn't need the extra coolant.
Now, PC Gamer does mention a thing that says, PC Gamer says you can use a Hoover on it, and Temper says I wouldn't. A Hoover sucks, not blows. Now, here's the thing. There is a duality to this thing. So, I bring down my Dyson vacuum, and I open up the side for the streaming. The gaming PC, I still haven't had a vacuum out yet. The streaming PC, however, is a regular thing. But what I use is I will turn the vacuum on and then use my fresh air. Once I make sure to turn the PC off before you do this, and do not blow it directly onto the fans. As you blow it out, you turn the vacuum on, and it's going to suck up all the dust that it brings up. Otherwise, the dust is just like poof, and then it settles again. It's kind of like when you throw Legos into the middle of a room to see if everybody who's in the dark is going to figure out that there's something sharp on the floor, which I love to do in panic rooms. I feel like that's hilarious. Never go to a panic room without a pocket full of Legos. Cody, let's go bring up. Well, member because says you guys need to just do live building brain boxes like this every day. Oh, we do that. Well, we do it Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'll tell you that much. Cody says for people new to PC buying, what model would you recommend with everything that you can buy on the market?
Good question. So, if you're talking brands, you want to go with something well known. Now, there's a lot of good brands out there. I don't think that there's one brand that just beats everybody else. They all the top ones do a really good job, and have, I'm sure each one of them has their own issues, but you're looking at probably Asus, ASRock, MSI, Gigabyte, PNY, Zotac, I might be leaving out a couple there, but go with a name brand that you can rely on. That would be like the number one thing. With memory, you've got like Cheese Skill, Corsair, Patriot, Team Group. There's so many different versions, but just make sure it's at least like somewhat of a well-known brand. If the price is extremely cheap and it's too good to be true, then it probably is.
Ooh! I have an example of this. Do you see what I have, people? I have a 1 terabyte USB 3.2 portable disk drive that, as a DJ, I was going to use to put all my stuff on it. Do you know what's fun? What's really fun is because I thought I got this for $40 and I was super jazzed. Like, how can you get a terabyte on a USB device for $40? And you know what happened? It sees it, but it can't write to it because it's garbage. It's absolutely a lie. So be aware. Please don't shop for your parts on Temu.
Yeah.
That's how you end up with accidental cameos from, oh God, I was gonna say Chuck Norris, but there we go. Man Bear Pig, Alienware thoughts. I am gonna leave that to you guys.
I have no thoughts about them.
What do
I know
aliens
a bunch of people
wear?
there. That is the answer. What do aliens wear? All right, everybody in the chat, let's go. You unhook yours and take it outside to blow it. Temperance. Oh, I have so many things to talk about. But Temu PC fans are good though. Hashim, I need you to not give people false hope because it's bull.
Maybe
I'm really enjoying my bleep button today. I'm really enjoying my bleep button. Oh no! Please do not do a Temu build. That would be so bad. You only have so much fire protection for your insurance policy.
True.
Cody mentions that pre-built PCs are good options, or better buying individual pieces and assemble it yourself. Oh, can I give an opinion on this one real quick? I fully believe that so my very first PC was a streaming PC because I was a console player only, and then I moved into streaming from it and gaming from it, and trust me, that was not the greatest choice in the world. But I assembled it myself. So guess what happened? Every time something failed or died, I'm the one who had to pick up the bill for it because, like, my power supply died. It was one of those things. I didn't have a company to fall back on. Now, when you fast forward to my gaming PC, I was given a gaming PC by a company, and I modified it so that it met the needs that I wanted, and it was okay, but nothing. I had to take the sides off so it didn't overheat because it was that hot. But again, anytime you modify your PC like that, you risk your warranties and stuff. This monster of a creature, I don't have to worry about anything with this thing. It's incredible.
Dang it, numbers.
So my opinion is, if you want to get so we have a section called the RTS, or ready to ship section, on our website, clxgaming.com. There you go. That you can take a look at everything from entry level to ultra performance level PCs. So you can kind of what it's going to do, how it's going to perform, what are some to work together, and then you can take that build into the configurator and adjust it. I want another hard drive, or I want a bigger hard drive, or I want more fans, or I want something. You choose. It's fine. We got it. The key is making sure you're getting something that is going to meet your needs and going to help you achieve your goals. Look at that. I'm an inspirational speaker. I feel so fun right now.
Do both, Nick P. Do both.
Nick P. I want a PC so bad. Trying to decide if I want to buy one or learn to build one myself.
Buy one and then take it apart and put it back together again.
There you go.
That sounds like a great investment of potential time. Now, here's a fun fact that's got ports. This has got more ports than the side of the Death Star that they used for the original Star Wars films. Now, what we're using here is a power supply. This power supply is a 1,000 watt EVGA Supernova 80 Plus Gold. So, how is this different from other power supplies, guys?
So this is a fully modular power supply. So it's a little bit similar to the other ones. These EVGA ones are great though. Everybody loves EVGA, including us. So modular power supplies are nice for when you're building this machine. So you can see Zach is installing the box itself right now without the cables. That's a huge plus to going with a modular power supply. So we're going to be able to run our power cables to our connection. So this is our motherboard 24 pin. So we can plug this in and then run the end that goes into the power supply out the back. Just makes our life a whole lot easier.
So Nick P, I'm gonna give you a piece of advice that I used when I had to take apart my first car engine. And I know people are like, you can
Polaroids.
Part car stuff.
Polaroids.
Pics.
I took pictures of everything I did before I did it, and then I had a friend of mine just pull out his. Now, granted, this was technically in 2009, no, 2008. Like it was New Year's weekend, 2008, 2009. It was a blizzard here in Oregon. Anyways, a friend of mine pulled out his camcorder. He's like, "All right, do you mean just monitor this?" I said, "Yes, please. I don't know how to put this back together. We're going to have to play it backwards." And so one step by one step after another, and I had to replace my alternator and the alternator belt in the middle of 4-degree weather. 4! So it was not the easiest of things. But it was a Volvo, so it was fine. You know, they're the Volvo 240s. Those things are little tanks on their own. But yeah, definitely use pictures. Pictures are the best thing. Same thing if you are going to possibly be changing any of the components in your PCs and you have to get into the cable management, take a picture of how the cable management is aligned first. Then once you have to clip the right wires to get things put back where they need to go so you can get this new piece of equipment working, you can put everything back together the way that it was and your cable management is still pristine. That's what camera phones are for. All right. Nick says, we're all good about taking stuff apart. Terrible getting it back together, but that's not a bad idea. Nick, we might be related. Avenged Honor. How long you know how to build? How long do you know? Whoa. How?
Put that in the Google Translate.
Okay, I'm going to read it the way it's written. Long you know how to build the PC, I would say yes. If not, I would check. All right. Depending on how long it takes us to build the PC would determine whether or not it's a better idea to get a pre-built or a custom. I hope that that's what you said, and I feel like I properly interpreted that ish.
So I'm saying as long as you know how to build a PC.
I did.
You can.
Oh God, I got apologies, Avenged. My bad. Yes, but. Both. Like, we're pretty quick. Paul, what's the turnaround time usually?
Yeah, so we like to keep that updated as live as we can on our website. So if you go right now and look, it might be a little bit different than the last time you checked. But our RTS systems, those are in stock, ready to go. So we're going to ship those out within 1 to 2 business days. Sometimes if you order it early enough, like if you ordered one at like 8 a.m. our time, we might be able to get it out that same day. Now, the custom build's just going to depend on our volume. I believe right now we're probably at like 4 to 5 business days, but we have to check that to.
It's holiday time.
It is holiday time.
We are all Santa's elves here.
We got a whole lot.
I'm going to read this in my goofy voice because I feel like it's more appropriate. Coming from Learning to Grow Together.
Why does Windows 11 still come on a disk? I accidentally ordered the disk and had to borrow a disk drive to install it because no PCs come with disk drives anymore.
You're damn right.
Couldn't tell you why Windows does that, but probably just for people who got disk drives and want to have like a physical copy.
Yes, congratulations, Gateway. Congratulations, Gateway purchasers. Your PC may still sort of kind of be valid, but it won't work.
Yeah, you can use thumb drives to download the ISO file. That's
yeah,
what,
definitely do that.
I will do if I'm like at home.
I ended up with a 2 gig. No, I had a 6 gig. Just this little 6 gig thumb drive. It was easy. It just writes it all to there, and you can have a different version of Windows, and it'll still download the ISO for Windows 11, and then you can just throw it right through there. USB is a lot easier than disks because, that was more Donald Duck than Goofy. Yes.
Some motherboards even have USB ports on the backs of them just for BIOS.
Yeah. Let's see here. Trevor, what's going on, Trevor? Trevor says, I'm in the research phase for a 1080p 120 FPS gaming streaming starter PC with upgrade capabilities. $1,500 max budget. Prefer AMD CPUs. Recommendations on motherboard, CPU, and GPU. That is a great question. Paul, you're the official on this one. Jump at it.
Trevor, you're in the right spot. Let me tell you, brother. All right, so $1,500 for 1080p, 120 FPS, you're going to be just fine. You could probably cut that budget down a little bit if you wanted to, or you could just put it towards higher end hardware. But if you prefer AMD, look at AMD Ryzen 5, Ryzen 7, something in that range. And for a video card, I'd recommend starting at a 4060 or a 4060 Ti. Go with 16 gigs of memory. Your motherboard, just make sure it matches the socket of the CPU that you chose. You don't need to go super high end or anything. If you want to keep it budget friendly, you can go with just like a mid-tier board with nothing fancy on it. That's what I would do. I never buy like a super high end board for my personal builds because I don't really use all the features that it comes with. Now we do have a lot of RTS on our website that you could just take a look at that are AMD that are within that budget, and will definitely play 1080p at 120 frames. So
yeah, easily. I have to laugh because when I switched from my old system to the new one that they said that the CLX sent me, going from a very basic processor and 2-gen old graphics card, I went from being able to do Rainbow Six Siege on medium settings ish with no ray tracing, and I was lucky if I could pull 100 FPS. Now I'm on ultra, and I'm usually getting between 160 and 250. But there's a lot of options. Definitely check out our RTS. Once again, you can do that by going to clxgaming.com and look on the left-hand menu, and you can go right on down where it says ready to ship, and then see if there's something that looks similar to what you're looking for. But you can also put in there your financial parameters and say, all right, I don't want anything higher than this, and it'll show you all the options that are there. Let's see here. Advantage says it's faster. Oh, yeah, the USB... Yeah, the USB is a lot faster than the disc. But speaking of things that are faster, what's faster is a drill. But what's still quick is Zach's amazing tool.
yeah, if you gave me a drill and then Zach had his tools and we were building the same PC, Zach would finish probably 30 minutes before me.
Ooh. D15 up, don't worry. I know that was not your intention. You good. I will message this over there to learning. I'll just whisper them. Bop, 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 bop. Am I not allowed to whisper? What about love? Absolutely good question. Wow. Yep. The only thing that's for Reddit is a consistent opportunity to discover that you are frustrated with the absurdities that most people just end up going through in life by opening their mouths. I am no audio on the text on here. Oh yeah. All right. Now, since I know you guys can't hear Paul and Zach at the moment, so I'm just gonna do some pointing because we've got a great shot here, a great shot. So I'm gonna have Paul point at. So this case comes with a couple really cool features on the very back end, since it's a 2/3. Let's start with the very top piece, and that is going to be a drive bay, and so you can actually hook up hard drives in there. There's also one down on the bottom, if I'm not mistaken, as well. And then, of course, our power supply is right in the middle. Now, with that being said, and until we can hear them, I'll just go ahead and give you the spiel. The reason why it's really helpful to have your power supply located in a different section or compartment than your motherboard and the rest of your components is because it helps redirect the heat. Obviously, power supplies are going to run warm. So it's going to pull fresh air in from the back. It's going to push it right out the side of the PC. You're not going to have to worry about it overheating everything. And that's one of the things we love. Now, speaking of that, let's look at this perspective we've got right here. We obviously are going to be putting in about 10 different Game DS fans. We've still got the final 3 to put on the back, but we've got the 3 on the bottom. That's going to bring fresh air up. It's going to hit the bottom and the fans for our graphics card, as well as providing fresh air to the system. Where you can see Zach's head through I love it. I'm pointing at my monitor as if people can see where I'm pointing at. Whereas you can see Zach's head through the hole, that is actually going to have another 3 fans on it that are going to pull air in from the back. Now that's going to help create that little bit of a vortex. Up top, you can see the 3 fans attached to our radiator, and that's going to help with an exhaust. And then we will have one more on the back as a rear exhaust. Now, this creates a thing that's called positive pressure. Who in chat knows what I mean when I say positive pressure? Raise your hand or throw an emote or, just
it means it's always happy. It's never sad.
blink twice. Yo, you have sound back.
The air is
Cool.
never
Go.
sad.
Thank you, Cosworth.
Positive vibes.
Yeah,
Okay, can you guys hear everybody?
good vibes here. No bad vibes.
There we
only.
go. So, Paul, can you explain the difference between positive and negative pressure?
Yes, so positive pressure means we have more air coming into the case than we do leaving, which is what we're going for. And the reason for that is because if we had them set up in the opposite way, where we had more air leaving the case than coming in, it would create a vacuum inside of our PC, which is going to cause air to get sucked in through all these little cracks and crevices in between side panels and all that stuff. So we want to avoid that. If your system is currently set up in a negative pressure way, that is okay. It's not like you got to stop everything and change it, but when you're building one, you want to try to set it up in a positive pressure. So more intakes than exhaust.
Yep, and of course, then some people will go overboard. I went overboard. I have 13 in mine. I have 36. I have 9 intakes and 4 exhausts,
You got a pressurized
which means I've got
cabin.
a heavily overpressured cabin. But the upside is ain't nothing getting in there. Yeah. What are the benefits of positive pressure, Captain Killam? Well, I mean, cleanliness for starters, but Paul, you're better to answer that.
Yeah, cleanliness is going to be the main thing there. All of the dust that's coming in
Doesn't
is gonna
help
go through the
cooling,
right
that was
filtration. It's probably going to cool everything else inside your PC better. With a positive pressure, air is going to flow over all those components on your motherboard better. So just overall cooling and keeping everything cleaner.
And yes, that's correct, Captain Killam. It does minimize the dust. Again, I haven't really had to clean. I haven't had to clean this thing at all. Yeah, no, I still can't see dust in it. And I've had this since what? Last year?
You got
No,
it
early this
sometime.
summer.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Wait, no,
You got it in the
well,
winter, but I could definitely
Yeah.
be remembering that wrong.
either way, I still love it. It's still sitting here. It's still fun. And wow, I don't know what happened to my camera, but for a second there, I had a tan. That was cool.
Nice.
All right. Yes, and positive pressure is also known as happy pressure.
True.
Ivory says the pressure is electrically charged. I feel like that's not the verbiage we want to use, but okay. Now, what's the next thing we want to pop out while our friend Zach here is working on this incredible
We are going to
cable
get
management?
our video card out. Oh,
The video card. Oh my gosh, we've got a GPU. This is from our friends over at PNY. This is an NVIDIA GeForce RTX 4070 Ti Super. Now this has 16 gigs of DDR6 VRAM for, monstrous performance. But I'll let Paul talk about that.
All right, I'm just making space here so we can all look at this together. So we've got the PNY RTX 4070 Ti Super 16 gig card. We'll get this out of the box, get a closer look at it. It is a larger card, So it is going to be a triple fan model, which is why we have installed that anti-sag bracket that we talked about a little bit earlier on in the show. This EVGA power supply does not have the 12 volt high power cable, so we will be using the dongle that comes with it. So we want to make sure that you get this out of the box if you were building this at home.
You said dongle.
A dongle? Oh, hey, look, the video card.
Yep.
Came
Yeah.
with
What?
a Leon Lee bracket.
Most,
there we go. Look at that.
PNYs and
So, we have a question coming in from the TikTok side of the world. Andrew Wagner asks what our favorite games are at the moment.
Right now, I was playing retail WoW, having fun, and I got sucked back into Classic. So I'm playing WoW
God.
Classic again, baby.
Oh, God.
Best game in the world.
I'm on Dead
is that?
Cells on Switch right now, and Bridget and I are playing Mario Party Superstars. Yeah. But yeah, Dead Cells
Nice.
is real fun.
I have been really enjoying Black Ops 6's zombie mode. Obviously, I'm a Dying Light 2 partner, so I love me some Dying Light, some Rainbow Six Siege, and a few others. But yeah, those have been my primaries lately just because I love them. And I'm sure I'll get 4 of them because my ADHD is an all-time high. Now, speaking of that, let's take a look at what Paul's holding. Paul, you've got a really big device in your hand, and this looks like it weighs a lot. How is this? Tell me about what this feels like.
This is a heavier card. This is a triple fan model. Yeah, you really caught me off guard, DJ. All right.
I just realized what I
So
said.
this is a, like I said, this is a 4070 Ti Super triple fan model. We're getting all the plastic off to get a better look at it. I got the back plate cover off. I try to take you guys along with the peels with me because the peel's the fun part. But this part around the fans can be a little less fun. It never comes off in one piece.
No, never. Now, obviously, we've got 3 fans here. You mentioned that this feels kind of hefty, a little girthy.
Little girthy, yep. So that's why we got our anti-sag bracket installed to help support this.
Awesome. So, are you seeing copper or aluminum when it comes to the piping?
So it looks aluminum, but I bet it's copper that's been
It's aluminium,
painted.
guys.
Aluminium.
Aluminium! Unsatisfying peel, what a tragedy, Ivory says. Yes.
True. And then
Yeah,
they've
we got
these
Crash
things-
Burrito coming in with a gift sub! Hype!
Thank you.
Let's go. Yeah, buddy.
Crash Burrito.
Get it good.
Captain Killam, I do dirt racing on rally racing on my machine when it is operable. Right now, my machine is dead, so I've yet to fix it.
I used to compete in Forza. I believe it was Forza 6 that I have a championship in.
What is going on?
But a title in. But
Perfect.
yeah, and I love sim racing. I think it's hilarious. Man Bear Pig says no Helldivers 2. Come on. You shut up. I heard
That's so good. Get him!
Got 'em.
I played
I'm
video
trying
games.
to do a show here, guys. Jesus. Oh my God. Let's go, champ. DG. Big family of Mario Party, and I get spanked in R6 Siege. Listen, Andrew Wagner, let me be very honest. Okay, now, I know I've got some people from my community in here, so I want to be honest. Nothing personal, but sometimes you get to brag about the things. I'm in the top 3% of players in the world for Rainbow Six Siege
Who die?
for fastest death and most team kills. I'm not proud of it, but I own it because it's true.
How's your matchmaking?
Well, I play usually with a solid squad of my people because they understand if I get all sorts of amped up because I got a double kill and then I turn around a corner and see somebody before I notice that there's a name above their head and then I accidentally shoot them in the head and then one time I get a headshot is with somebody on my team and now they're dead. I can't even pick them up. Sad panda. So yeah, listen, if you want to roll into a game and completely suck, listen, I'm your guy.
DJ
Came out
is
wrong.
the backpack.
We've been
Yes.
playing some Enlisted. Have you heard of this game? It's
World
like
War
World War
One,
II.
Two?
Well, it might be
Deuce,
one. No, it
W
might be
Deuce?
one. But you like
The
jump in as a
64?
squad,
Yeah.
and me and my buddies were playing it, and so like the rest of your squad's AI, and if you die, you just can jump to one of your AI
yeah,
guys.
dude.
It's pretty
That's
fun.
nice.
It's cool.
Okay, that's awesome as an idea.
It's free
Mugwai
right now.
says, have a whole backlog of games thinking I'm going to be able to play them and then nothing. Okay, I'm going to be honest, as a content creator, and this is what I do for a living, I will get partially into a game, and then something new comes out, and other companies like, hey, will you play this game for us? I was like, okay, sure. And then it's just this nonstop. There are 83 games that I have never finished because that's what content creators do.
Elden Ring
Bear
being
Loss
number
says I
one.
can take that record. Yes, Elden Ring is number one. If Bear Loss says you can beat my record, I'm gonna be honest. If you can, we're gonna make great teammates. Damned Hollow. Shout out to Chase from the customer support department. He's the best. We've been chatting for like 3 days about PC upgrades. Hell yeah.
Nice.
GG Chase. Nicely done. Right, Bear Loss. If it moves, shoot it. Makes sense to me. I'm gonna be honest. That's.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
make a note
So our reputation's all over the place.
Chase.
Yeah. So now you guys, by the way, now that we've got the back three in, you can see how those three fans are going to be pulling the air in along with the three on the bottom. So there's your 6 intakes with your 4 exhausts, and it's going to be really, really good. One of the cool things, and I want to point this out because I don't think we really talked about this, is where the motherboard sits in this case. One of the best things about this case is what we consider a 2/3 or a 3/4 case. Paul, what does that mean?
So that means that our motherboard doesn't sit all the way back, which gives us a lot of space on the back side of the case for other stuff. So you can see that's where our power supply is, those hard drive bays you pointed out earlier, DJ, and then we've got a nice channel in the middle for our cable management. It also just provides a good aesthetic for the case if you like this style. That's another thing it does.
Yeah, I dig it. I love my Landly. It's great. And it's got a lot of different options. And of course, Zach over here making it look effortless when it comes to installing fans, fan hubs, and cabling. But yeah. Andrew Wagner mentions you're good at cams. Listen, I mean, to be fair, if you're the first one down, grab them cams. Give your team some help. Or just sit there and scream loudly every time somebody dies. I feel like I do both of those really well. Just so we're all clear.
Okay, so then that does that. And now we get
Uh-oh.
to... I'm changing the salute.
saw that.
I'm changing the salute. Spaceballs.
Zoltan.
Yeah.
Or Spaceballs.
Here we go.
Zoltan.
I feel like when I do it, it's dirty. All right. Now, we've got to have a pretty big power connector for this guy. Paul, why is that?
So this is 2 8-pins to power this. Now we are using the adapter for the 12-volt high power since the EVGA power supply that we have does not come with the single cable, which is fine. So we've got 2 of those 8s coming out of our power supply going into the adapter for our video card.
Nice. Cosworth asks, speaking of Dying Light 2, are the little coming back this year? I have no official comment on it. No official comment. Andrew mentions, how far behind are you guys on customs with Christmas right now? With Christmas right down the street.
We are very busy. That is what I will say.
Now, what I will say, they would not be opposed to. I'm not going to say it. I was going to joke, but I was going to say they would not be opposed for somebody sponsoring a pizza party. There we go. Look at that. Dun, dun,
DJ's bringing us pizza?
Dun,
We got Little
dun.
Caesars right down the street. Come on, DJ.
Why?
What? The extra most bestest is,
Little Caesars?
is good bang for your buck. It's not the best pizza, but you know, you can feed your family.
Oh my, okay. Accurate statement. Accurate statement. Trevor asks, is there a benefit to elevating the PC in a way to provide more clearance underneath the bottom of the case fans? Yes, there is. Paul, how does that work?
Yeah, so this case is designed with all that in mind. So that's why the feet are the size that they are, because that's really all it needs to breathe. Now, if you have more open area under that than like just the floor, then yeah, your PC is going to breathe better and it's going to cool everything a little bit better. Now, you're probably not going to notice a difference in games, but if you took like a internal reading of inside your case of the temperature, then you might notice that.
Oh my gosh. $4.99 Domino's $4.99 deal all day. Wait, what? $4.99? Pizza. And then I realized that's the wrong one.
And I think I'd rather have Little Caesars than Domino's.
I used to love Domino's wings, and then I got older and realized I don't have the metabolism for this anymore. I'm getting older.
Yep. My kids are getting bigger. When last time we got pizza, like usually we can get like one pizza and that's enough, and there's usually like leftovers. And this time, nope. I'm like, oh no. The kids are growing. Yeah.
All right, two things. First of all, Cosworth mentions you could always use a couple of old PS2s as PC stands. They work really well.
You ain't doing nothing with them anyway.
And so I remember as a kid back when I was in soccer and, teenage years in middle school and high school, there was a place called Sunshine Pizza, and they were right next to our favorite Chinese food place. And Sunshine Pizza was really good when it was basic, greasy ghetto pizza. To the point where you had to use multiple paper towels to pull the grease off the top.
Yeah.
And I, at that time, I could eat an entire large pizza on my own. And we wonder why I have issues feeding my feelings now. It's because that was allowed to have happened. All right, we're going to get these side panels on, but first, while they're getting this beautiful thing put back together, I'm going to take you on an adventure. You ready for an adventure? Let's go on an adventure. Let's go. We're going to head over to CLXgaming.com. So, at CLXgaming.com, we try and make it as easy as possible for you to get the PC that you want to do what you want it to do. We've got PCs of all different shapes and sizes. You want a little ITX? We got those. You want a medium-sized tower? We got those too. You want something big? Yes. You want something gigantic? Well, then we just have that one, but it's still massive. Look, that little one down there, the super tower, very bottom. That thing's a nightmare. But we carry everything you could think of when it comes to all the major brands. So you want Intel? We got Intel. You want AMD? We got AMD. We've also got NVIDIA. We've got Radeon. We have all sorts of different options, and you have all sorts of different abilities to choose different things that go with them. Now, I know everybody's like, but what if I choose the wrong piece and it blows up? It's not going to blow up. We're not going to let that happen because you can see that little green button up top turned into yellow and it says solve conflict. It's because at this time, we've got a power supply issue. So the problem is we've got a video card that requires a higher level of power than the power supply offers. So the system is basically going to say, all right, if you want this power supply, you have to use one of these lower tier cards. But if you want this card, you're going to have to upgrade and go to one of these power supplies. Once you choose the right device and click it all together, guess what? It all happens, and then it's back to green. Now, there's a lot of different options. Whether you want to add other hard drives, increase the amount of RAM, you want cable mods, operating system disks, we got it. You want streaming gear? We've got capture cards by Elgato. We've got ourselves Beacon Mix Creates and Beacon Mics, which are super fun. And then we've got the Foundry. Now, if you are thinking that you want a high-performance machine, guess what? We can overclock your GPU. We can overclock your CPU. We can actually overclock both, and we can even upgrade your thermal paste. I know everybody's there home just like clapping. I can already feel it's like an Oprah special. This is awesome. But the best part about all this is our accessories page. We are a one-stop shopping center for all things you could possibly ever imagine you might need for a PC. Whether it's a t-shirt, a windbreaker, or a hat, all marked with CLX, and you would definitely be part of the family at that point. We've also got keyboards, mice, controllers, headphones, microphones, speakers, monitors, little display things. Yep, I don't even know what those do. And then we've got, you name it, we've got it. We've also got routers. We've even got chairs. You want to set up an entirely brand new streaming setup? Guess what? This is the place that you want to go do it. Now, I get that's a lot of information to have at one time. So don't worry. We try and not make it over stressful. That's why we have our RTS section, also known as the Ready to Ship. We talked about this a little bit earlier. The Ready to Ship section gives you a good idea and a balance of, listen, this is what is, we've got entry levels all the way up to ultra high performance levels. It's going to kind of give you a gauge and a range of what price you're looking at. Also, it's going to give you an idea of how it's going to perform based on the metrics that are given for each specific build. If you want to pick a build and start there as your baseline and then move, adjust a few things, we can handle that. That's not a problem. So, with that being said, for all of your future PC gaming needs, head on over to clxgaming.com and see what we can do for you to prepare you for tomorrow. All right, we've got our PC for our friend Eric in Texas. We're going to see how this turns on. Barbie asks, do you guys make iBuy Power PCs? Oh, no. But I appreciate you asking. All right. Now, you missed the plastic, dude.
Oh, he left it from me.
This is your favorite one.
Gift. Look at this.
All right.
I'm molting. Oh, boy.
Molting. Good Lord. Okay, let's see how it works. Look at that. Jeez, that looks good. I really love the way those lights bounce off of the black framing in there. It looks incredible. The PNY graphics card, you can see the little symbol right there. Plus, we're going to get that middle dongle to light up. But first, we're going to go through what's going into this incredible PC for our friend Eric in Texas. So this, of course, is a raw 011 Dynamic Evo XL full tower in black with a Ryzen 9 7900X 3D processor, cooled by a Leon Lee Galahad AIO 360 closed loop liquid cooler. It's going to be mounted on an Asus Prime X670E Pro Wi-Fi motherboard with 32 gigs of DDR5 6000 RAM and that RTX 4070 Ti with 2 different 1 terabyte Western Digital M.2s for the operating system and the storage system. You've also got 10 different game DSA OLED fans along with a 1000 watt EVGA Supernova 80 plus gold power supply. Yes, that is incredible. Now, yes. Okay. Yes?
Yes.
Got it. So this show is going to happen in 2 different parts, and that is going to be in just a few. We're going to take a break. When you come back, you're going to get to spend the afternoon while Zach builds a couple really special builds for some people, and that's going to be a lot of fun. So this show happens every Tuesday and Thursday starting at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 Eastern. You can find us across all of our platforms, but to keep up to date with all the latest and greatest of what's going on and when we're streaming and whatever else might be going on, head on over to our social media. That is YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and Threads at CLX Gaming. If you'd like to join our community in the Discord, our Discord is full of a bunch of like-minded PC enthusiasts, and that is discord.gg/CLX Gaming. I'm going to go and play the new map on Black Ops 6. So, with that said, on behalf of Kyle and Jason in production, Zach and Paul, jeez, I'm Digital PDX. Don't go away, we've got more coming up in just a few. We'll be right back.
Bye, everybody.
What is up, Scooby Gang? I hope everybody is having a fantastic week. I hope you're ready for an awesome weekend. We are T-minus 20 days to holidays. So, if you guys need any questions answered or anything like that while I'm out here building, go ahead and ask them away. RGBs are a universal worldwide flag, a symbol, you know, of like peace. You know, it's like going out and waving a white flag. If you have RGBs on the outside of your spacecraft, then bam, you know, faster frames per second. I do have the Kick, the Twitch, and the TikTok up, so feel free. I don't remember which ones we're live on right now. I believe those three. Live on all three. Sweet, perfect, all three of those. Sorry. 2, okay. No Kick, perfect. Twitch and TikTok, I can read both of those. Thank you for joining us today. If you have any questions about this super sick build I will be building, ask away. We've got a new Ultra Core 265K for our processor. We've got a Z890 Riptide with the Wi-Fi built on as our motherboard. We're going to be dropping in a total of 32 gigabits of 5600 megahertz. We have a 2 terabyte NVMe. We're going to be dropping in a 4070 Super that is a 12 gigabits of a card. We've got a 360 liquid cooler coming to us from Acetec with an RGB cap on it. And all of this will be powered by a 1000-watt modular power supply. And we are going to be slamming all of this into Paul's favorite case, my favorite case. This is the classic, the staple of the CLX gaming. This is the Fantex Evolve X. Or the 518. And this is our lapis lazuli paint job. So, if you grew up in the classic COD 4 days of having some sweet tiger striped camouflage for your rifles, we've got it in red, we've got it in green, we've got it in blue, we've got all of the cool colors. This is a very slick case. Let's go ahead and slide those there. And this is all. Shoink. All right. Oh yeah, and we do have our M2 fans. I was excited to see this motherboard. When you get a motherboard that comes in a box that's really, really shiny and really cool, yes, that last PC was for sale, then I get really excited. All right, I don't know if you guys heard that. We do have something loosey-goosey inside here, so we want to be extra cautious and careful not to scratch anything while we remove it. There we go. Alrighty. Just want to safely, securely slide that back in place. We do have a couple of peels here. Alrighty. Just going to leave that in that box there. So what that was our NVMe heatsink on the top. Just kind of come undone. No biggie. That is why all of our socket covers come with a nice little cap on top so that they are protected and safe. But this is a very nice motherboard. We've got a couple of bays. Oh yeah, which way does it go? That way. So we've got 4 ports on the bottom and then 1 on that top port. So we got lots of NVMe slots on this. This is an 800 series motherboard, so they have been getting quite a bit of NVMe ports onto the 8 series motherboards. Now, when it comes to installing our heat distribution sources, as we can tell, Intel systems do not come with any back plates, so a back plate is required. Depending on what heat distribution source you are using, you want to read the manual to verify you are using the right parts for the socket set that you have. There are a plethora of different varieties out on the market, so be sure to verify that it is the right one. Sorry, I keep reading that question and I keep forgetting to answer it. Was that PC for sale, the one that we just built? Yes, you can purchase a system exactly identical like that one. That one is already taken. It's already laid claims on, and that is going to a customer. If you would like that system and like to do some like changes to it, like instead of 2 1 terabyte NVMe's, if you want 4, you could do that. Or if you want to change them from 1 terabytes to 2 terabytes or anything vice versa. Yes, Hashim, this is a very, very sexy board. So this is the new cores, the 265. Really like this processor. It's super fast. It's a fast one. We got our thermal paste. And just like all of the other processors out on the market, they are keyed. They can only go in one direction. So we just want to match our triangle up with our triangle. And we want to bounce around. If we applied even pressure in a circular rotation, we would cause damage to either our motherboard or our processor, or both. LGA sockets are LGA sockets are sockets that have the pins on the motherboards, so you can cause damage to those. Whereas like your AM4 processors, those guys have the pins on the processor itself, so you can cause damage to that. You can cause lots of damage and ruin one part or ruin 2 parts. So just be extra cautious and careful whenever installing. We have discussed, I don't know if you guys pay attention to the CLX lore. I break it out every once in a while, but we do have multiverses here at the CLX, and in one of the CLX multiverses, anything plugs into anything. So if you have an AMD processor, you can have it work on a Intel motherboard, but we are not, sadly, in that multiverse, so we have to abide by the rules that are set up for us already. So make sure that your processors are going into the right sockets, you're using the right equipment to cool it. You do not want to have a hot little cookie. And we're gonna do light. Okay, so when it comes to setting up liquid coolers and having RGB on them, you want to go to your AIO header or CPU header that is going to be set up in the BIOS for plugging in that fan header, and that's going to give max beans to your all-in-one, which is what you want. And then your RGB, just want to plug that in to a port wherever you can. Some liquid coolers come with USBs for the RGB control or some SATAs for powering. You just want to address those accordingly and manage them properly. All right, 2 16 gigabyte sticks of 5600 megahertz a piece. Now, just like the DDRs before and the DDRs that will come after, our split is in a different spot. So we want to make sure that we collect the right memory modulars for our motherboard. If those are Dance Dance Revolution 4, we want to make sure that we get the DDR4s. If we're on the 5s, we want to make sure that we're picking up 5s. Another key piece of information is you can get memory that is more powerful than your motherboard can handle. So if you are looking to build a system yourself, double check the motherboard that you are entertained in getting to see what it is capable of doing. You know, just because you go out and buy a car does not mean you can take it around a Formula One racetrack or go on a rally stage circuit. You want to get something that is a little bit more specialized for whatever you are doing. So if you are more of an audiophile, equipment that works better with audio equipment is going to be a must over just getting equipment. Same goes for production, video games, anything, you know. You wouldn't build a gaming rig and take it to a hospital or a library to have data of people coming in and checking out books or people coming in and getting shots. No, you'd want to have a proper system for that. Man, this is housed well. Go team group. Team. This is MP33 Pro 2 terabyte edition. NVMe. Okay, there we go. Figure out which way those spring toward, that way. Alrighty. And just like our processors and our CPUs and those are the same thing, processor, CPU. Just like our memory modulars, NVMe's can only be installed one way as well. They do have a little cut on one side, so we want to line that up with our slot and insert properly. Now, to lock them in, sometimes you get screws to screw them in, sometimes there's a little plastic swivel on there, sometimes now there's just little snaps that you just snap it down and it is spring-loaded onto a little hook. But then we want to make sure that we have all of our peels peeled wherever they need to be. And we will reinstall our heat shield. Now, if our heat shield was covering up this standoff hole right here, then I would leave my heat shield off until I have the motherboard installed and am ready to cover that slot up. But what we can do now is I'm going to take this, we're going to put that way. We've got 3 fans and we will be installing them to push air through our radiator. Now Paul does kind of talk a good bit about all of the different ways that air can flow through radiators, and that is a very good guide onto how to set up your system. The one thing that I really like that he talks a lot about is the placement. You can do all of the research you want. Trust me, I have done 3 days worth of research and was left with a big unhappy feeling at the end of day 3. I was kind of taking a whole week. I was going to dedicate a whole week to radiator placement. And I did lots of studies on just watching everybody's content on the YouTubes to see how all of the tech guys were running it. Because, you know, everybody has a video out there on where to place your all-in-one at. Well, the one thing that I like that we do here is, you know, we build a bunch of computers all the time and test them for 12 hours each one, at least. So I feel like we have pretty good in-house data for me to do a professional opinion on. And as long as your hoses on your radiator are above the pump, you're fine. Yes, one way might make it last 5 years longer than the other one, or one way might be decibels quieter than the other direction because of blah, 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 blah. That's what I was learning over a period of 3 days of YouTube videos. It didn't really matter as long as this is above this. You can have it go this way, you can have it go this way, you could have it be this way, you just can't have it be this way. Like, so there's a whole bunch of layouts that can happen. Ventus 3, I can tell you, not because I looked at the screens there, but Ventus 3 edition means that we are going to have 3 fans. We could get a Ventus Dos, and that would have only 2 fans. We'd be looking at a card that's that big, but we got the Ventus 3, haha. Like I said, this is a 12 gigabyte card. Do you read comments? I try to do my best. Sometimes I'll get a little distracted and like go with the flow for a good bit and then look up and realize that somebody's been like asking me something. But yes, I do have the TikToks up and the Twitch up. So if you have a question about bicycles, I can answer that. If you've got a question about rock climbing, we could talk about that. We could talk about computers and computer parts. Which one? Oh, can you do a tutorial on how to install Windows 11 into a newly built PC? Is my last thing on Twitch is Hashim. That's a gorgeous board. Is my Twitch not loading up now? No. Frank. That was the last thing. Oh, thanks, Temperance. Yeah. Can I do a tutorial on how to install Windows 11 onto a newly built PC? I cannot. We might be able to do like a tutorial video, maybe make one. I think we've been trying to like figure out how to do that. You know, we have a lot of NDA stuff back in the back that can't be shown, discussed, or talked about. So just to film something like that, we'd have to, we're trying to work on it, trying to get that done. But the last I did it personally, it was with optical drive, so, you know, take that as you will. It was 2011. Battlefield 3 was on the verge of coming out, and Zachary needed a computer so I could bit people at a good distance. But for that, what I can remember is all of this is on optical drive, so just take that in mind. When it restarts itself, you can remove the disk. I didn't realize that you were supposed to remove the disk kind of like halfway through the loading thing, and it's like when it's done almost. So like I was kind of confused as to what to do, but just removed the disk and it finished setting up. So if you have it on a USB thumb drive, you might be able to get away with plugging it in and seeing what happens. Do this way. Got some pretty sick fans in here. That'd be super helpful if you could. Yeah, I'll bring it back up with Paul again and we'll look at it. Note, we are Santa's elves right now. I am over 20 builds for the week. I walked in I walked in yesterday with 20 builds or with 17 builds done for the week. So we are in super busy time. But when we do get some free time, we'll see if we can't get something helpful like that. We do have a couple of YouTube tutorials up installing graphics cards and stuff like that. Just drop that screw. You live down there now. Okay. Boop, boop. Boop. Save that, because I want that saved. Okay. Now, like kind of what I was talking earlier about picking and choosing equipment that suits what you're wanting to need for it. Say you're a photographer, a professional National Geographic photographer. You go out there, you take some sweet sets of pictures, and you bring your nice SLR home, because the 35 mils are gone for. And you're going to transfer all of the 1,000 photos that you took that day onto your computer. How are you plugging that up? If you're plugging that up via a standard USB, hello, late 2000s speed. You can look for a case that has a Type-C header on it. If you get a case with a Type-C header on it, you will be able to have that transfer speed of fast. And just go. There we go. Boop, boop. Ooh, OCD. But not having an actual Windows key sketches me out. Ooh, okay. Yes, I have not done it in a while. I sadly bought a pre-built before started working here, and if I'd have known about us, I would have bought a different one. Okay. I like setting up cases in a specific way so that when I open up the back of anything, I know if I was the one that touched it. Ugh! Popped myself in the nose. Okay. So there are lots of different ways that you can build a computer. You know, it's whatever your personal preferences like. If you are a person that likes getting one part at a time and slowly ordering your components over a couple months before building it, I recommend testing all those parts as soon as you get them so that you know if you need to send something back in to warranty it or something. It's always best to get kind of things in one go if you can, so that you can verify you've got a good motherboard, you know all of your parts are good. Because the one fun thing with technology, DOA, dead on arrival. That means that, not this graphics card specifically, but this graphics card is kaput. How There could be one bad solder joint in the whole thing that makes it not turn on. There could be a little capacitor cap that got hit when it got put into the box for shipping and it won't turn on. It could get a scratch on it. There's lots of things that could happen to make it arrive dead. Technology is a very cool thing because like us building 100 computers a day, these are getting produced 100 units a day. And the one cool, unique thing about humans is we aren't perfect. We can't produce perfect. So out of 100 units, there are going to be faulty units. The one nice thing about us here is we have our 12-hour burn-in period. So we really like to make sure that everything is good to go. Most people that sit down to play video games aren't going to sit down for 12 plus hours. So if we just go ahead and test at that, we can have a good say in saying that it's going to be okay. Yes. This is a super. This is a pretty light card. I think I might just go ahead and install one. Anti-sag brackets, it's always when you start wanting to think about how big your graphics card is, and I literally built one the other day because we've got a lot. I built one and I had the anti-sag bracket literally sitting next to me, and I went to go pick the computer up and put it on the spot where the anti-sag bracket was. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. Like, it's sitting there in my peripheral, but my brain just wasn't registering it. Now, ASRock does come with that extra standoff on it. I call it ASRock's 10th or 7th hole, depending on which motherboard we were rocking. I like it a lot because it sits right underneath your GPU slot. So I think it adds extra security to these big boy graphics cards that everybody has been producing. Nope, those are over here. I'm just going to be installing the ever classic Lindley anti-sag bar. It's real simple, basic anti-sag bar. It's two standoffs that instead of your motherboard screws, you screw these down. And then on top of them, you get to install a nice flat bar, and that adds a whole bunch of pivot points for a little teeny little L bracket to sit on, and that is all it needs. You're not trying to hold up 7 pounds worth of stuff, you're just wanting to keep up a couple pounds. So having a small little angle like this guy right here will be just enough to hold that up. I am not 100% sure how much. That's usually the one thing I don't look at unless they're like, yeah, this is $15,000. I'm like, wait, I need to see that 1 and a 5 and then a comma before I start touching this, because I need to go wash my hands. But I would probably say it's like around 2 or 3. I don't know. I'm not good at guessing numbers, because that is the one other crazy thing with technology, is the prices change and adjust daily almost. For us olders in the group. Remember when plasma TVs came out? Plasma TVs were all the rage. They're like $6,000 for like a 50-inch plasma TV that literally only looks good in a pitch black room. And then like 2 years later, you could get like a 72-inch plasma for like $1,000. The technology advanced. It became not the leading tech anymore, and it went down in price. So prices always change, especially when something like computers, where you can literally change each part out every year. So as a new part comes, you can almost click and plug right into your machine, as long as it is also modern with it. So like, you know, if you have a CPU changeover, you're getting a motherboard changeover. Same thing goes with memory modulars. Kind of like the only thing that like really transfers is going to be your power supply, your liquid cooler maybe, if you keep all of the retention kits that come with it. Because I'm mainly speaking, if whatever you have at home, assume the next generation, the next thing you go with is the opposite of what you have. So if you have an Intel motherboard and processor right now and a NVIDIA graphics card, you know, imagine all of the equipment you get next is a AMD graphics card and AMD processor. Well, it's nice to just keep all of the equipment. Oh, whoa, where are we going? It's nice to keep all of the equipment so that if you ever upgrade and do stuff like that in the future, you can. You might be a dedicated fanboy to Intel and only run Intel parts. Good on you. You could be like my uncle, and you know, he's 75 years old, so he's seen a thing or two and played on a thing or two. So his preferences are very honed in on what kind of graphics cards he likes running and stuff like that, because he is a very big tech head, so he knows all of the numbers and ratings and everything and power ratios. So if you find something that you like and thoroughly enjoy, you know, that's awesome. Be a fanboy about it. Okay, and link. But can it play Crysis 2? Heck yeah. Heck yeah, dude. Crysis 2 is a great one. What CPU and GPU are you putting in right now? All right, right now I've got an MSI RTX 4070 Super. This is a 12 gig card. And the CPU was a 265, one of the new Core Ultras. And this is an 870 motherboard. If I get a new GPU, I also need a new power supply, and it's not supporting the newer graphics card. Yes, so that is one thing too. With power supplies and stuff like that, I highly recommend keeping all of the cables. Just because you have enough VGA cables for this year's graphics card doesn't mean that next year they might not add an extra, and you might want that one, and having that one missing VGA cable is the one thing that's stopping you from being able to upgrade. That is a pooper. What I would recommend personally is finding a graphics card, a power supply that comes with a 12 volt 16 pin high, whatever cable whatever it's named, 12 volt 16 pin, yeah, something. I would recommend buying a power supply that has that cable with it. I could list a couple of those off the top of my head, but I can't right now because I can't remember. I believe we have one in this one, Game Dias. I know we have another one because I just built one. Well, would look better in that way, yeah. But I would recommend getting a power supply in the 850 to 1000 watt ratio with a 12 volt high speed cable on it, just so that if you ever did get a green card, you have one cable to plug in. You don't have to find. 5 series is going to have VGA cables to plug it in. It's just really nice to have the variety and support without having to purchase a backup cable or an extra cable or something like that. So if you're looking at purchasing something and building it yourself, that's what I would recommend. With us, we slap all of your non-used cables if you get a modular power supply into the driver box that gets shipped with the system. So you do get a little box that has all of the extra cables. So I would hang on to that in a tech spot. If you guys are like me, you have tech tubs because they are waterproof, and you can have them in your basement with all of your old tech stuff in it. Boom. Will you add RGB lights so it goes faster? Dude, I always do when they ask for them. What does rank mean on the PSU? Define rank of the power supply. Oh, of power supply? Like the plus? Is that what you want to know about? I knew what you were saying. Intel. What CPU and GPU are? So I've got it. I'm too poor for this. No. Have a good day. I'm sad to see you go, but you know, we have systems starting at $650, $700 on our website. That's pretty baller to get into. A Ryzen 9 and a 79 is pretty sick. I've done a couple of those builds in the back. You know, I've actually got one that I'm talking with my owner on right now because we ordered a bougie graphics card and I had some questions about it. Okay, let's install some fans. Don't you just like this? See, this time I'm putting the fans in before the power supply, and last time I did the power supply first because I asked Paul if I could. Because that's how computer building goes, is you can do it however you want. If you're more comfortable doing something some way, you know. If you're more comfortable working in the dark, you know, turn those lights out. Go to DreamHack. We'll be there. Is that a power hungry setup? You could get more power hungry if you'd like. That's a pretty sick setup. If that is what you're going to go with. Super go to Mr. Google's or Ask Jeeves, whichever one is a click away for you, and type in PSU calculator. That will be a power supply calculator. That is going to be the best way to figure out how much power, how big of a power supply block you need for your system. Some of those calculators on there, you just tell it your processor and your graphics card and it will spit out a number for you. What I recommend doing is finding one that you get to input a little bit more data in, to where if you can input all of your specs, your memory, your processor, your motherboard, your graphics card, stuff like that, I recommend that. Because always know that you don't want to go with what's just recommended. You want to have a little overhead on that. I like what Paul recommends. Paul recommends having about 20% extra power. That's just in case. That's literally just in case. That's you loaded up a video game and you're streaming a 4K movie, or oh no, you're playing a video game and you go to stream a walkthrough so that you can beat a level on the video game that you're playing. Well, everything's going to spool up because you're pulling some extra stuff. So by having a power supply that can handle that, it's not going to hinder anything, and what maybe might lag your game a little bit by watching that video, having that little extra power might be just all you need. Oh yeah. Which 7900 are we wanting to go with? Just a base like GRE model or just the 79? I'm not sure exactly what specs those have, but yeah, that should be big enough. I was rocking triple monitors on a 2060 until I overheated it. But you know, that's me playing Elder Scrolls Online with a 27-inch curved monitor and then 24s on the side, on the wings. I was living in game. Oh man, that's why I want Paul to set up a TIE Fighter scenario or something like that, to where he's got so much screen space. You're like, yeah, now he's gonna be playing so much RuneScape. Do it, Paul. Do it. Okay. But the rank on the PCU is just going to be the quality of the device. You'll have bronze, gold, platinum, titanium. They're just different levels of. They produce 80% for X period of time, stuff like that. I have my PC. My power button is blinking in standby. Nice. It's what Nana calls a scam. So I did GameDS Hub that we have here. We can have everything plugged in this way because this has preset programs on it that make some pretty cool colors. So thing that I liked when I was rocking my triples, that was also my race setup. I'm sad that I'm not racing. So my race setup. I'm sad that I'm not racing anymore. I want to get my computer fixed. Just not having to move the camera to see the sides of the dungeons and stuff like that. It's just standing here in this one spot, I can see when that guy over there is going to shoot his arrows at me or his magic spells at me. It's pretty fun. Highly recommend it. This is the setup for that though. There is a very specific setup for that. You get you one really nice monitor, that's your central. 27, 32, somewhere in that range. Then you get you 2 decent backups, 24s. And then you set those bad boys up whichever way you want. If you're into TIE fighters, I personally have never done a TIE fighter system because it looks weird to me. I will go into Nick's office and change his, I hope he's not listening, and change his setup to TIE fighters just because it's funny for him to walk in and be like, oh no, it's curved or rotated. But other than that, I like the wraparound. I think that does give you some pretty good immersion. One thing that I was very entertained in looking at was I can't remember who makes it now, but there's a monitor that is flat and then you can grab it and kind of curve it a little bit. I thought that would be a very nice dual monitor setup. Get 2 of those, put them end to end, and then curve and curve. So it's like I'm actually sitting inside of a rally car when I'm racing on my sim stuff. Yeah, you got that force feedback wheel, you know, and then you're like, whoo! It's winter time, so I would load up snow maps to practice sliding on snow, so I'm doing it in a video game and not in real life, wrecking my personal ride. You know, whatever you want to do. Okay, give me 2 seconds, that's a big one. I have it. For the Asus, they say it's not hard to be setting, I don't know. The control start button with that. I'm just thinking about pulling one out. That is weird. I don't know why that is going on. Why so many fans? I know the colors, but why so many fans? Why so many fans in this? We only have 7 fans. That's like we could add 3 more to push-pull this radiator, man. Like we can add more to this build. Check the BIOS. My old MSI gaming board allowed me to set whether or not sleep blinking, the power light, or dual colored it. Also, maybe power down. Yank the power piece out fully. Yeah. Draining the system of its power. Okay. So we're going to. All right. Let's do a quick power supply. Power supplies come in. Sometimes they're small SFX ones. Sometimes they're a little bit bigger boys because, you know, over 1,000 watts, they kind of grow in size. You have your power side, as I like to call it. You have your fan side, and then you have your cable side. Now, if we go back over to our power side, that is going to be the side that you plug the power from the wall into the computer. It's going to have a switch that is on or off. The O stands for off. The I stands for on. I know it's real intriguing. Some power supplies have extra buttons, either buttons or rocker switches. Those might be an eco or sleep mode. What that is won't. It takes down. If you have it in off mode, the fan is always spinning. So if you like a little bit of a quieter session, you can have that in the on mode, and it will only boost when it needs to. The other button, whether that's a push button, might be an RGB. Some power supplies have an RGB fan inside, and that little button allows you to cycle through color modes. I know my original power supply had the red, whites, and blues on it. It's kind of weird that it wasn't RGB. But, you know, some of them just have a few colors on them. Some of them, like the Game DS power supplies that we do have that are RGB, and they do have a plethora of color modes through those. Then we come to our fan side. Your fan is sucking air into it. So if we have it sat this way with the fan on the bottom, we are pulling air up from the floor. That's why cases have a nice little gap underneath them. Some of them come with a real fancy filter that you can easily slide out to clean. So it will suck air in, and then it pushes all of that air out through the power connect side. So it will suck in and blow out. Then we go over to our third side, which is our cable side. This one being a modular power supply, has 0 cables attached to it, meaning we can attach whatever cables we need to make it work. The other type is going to be a non-modular power supply. Those have its cables soldered into the circuits and boards on the inside of it. Pros and cons to both. Pro to a modular power supply. You only have to plug in the cables you need. A pro to a non-modular power supply. If you upgrade your system and you're really bad at keeping track of where you kept your extra cables for your modular power supply, your non-modular power supply has them attached to it. Hopefully it has enough for it to carry over to that next one. It's not that one's bad and one's good. They both just have their perks. Can you talk about real orientation? Real. Best way the fans should go. Yeah. So, when installing fans, the basic rule of thumb, rule of wrist, turn it this way here so we get the front look of it. So, general rule is most cases are moving from the floor to the ceiling, from the front to the back. Science has taught us that heat is a natural riser, so it automatically goes up. With a fan, all you're wanting to do is just guide it quicker. So, general rule of thumb for it, if you have fans on the floor here, if they're on the floor of the computer or they're on the power supply shroud, those are going to be intaking air up. If you have fans on the roof of your case, those are going to be taking air out of the system. If we have fans in the front of our case, I'm also including the back side right here. You might not see my hands, they're right here. Like a 011 XL, Evo XL, like the 011s, how they have the fan, they don't have fans right here, they have them back there. Those are going to be intaking air. You're bringing it from this side to this side. This fan back here is pulling the air out, so it's facing outward. There are a couple new options of fans on the market that have that little brace on the back side, so you can only see the hubs, and they might be a reversed fan to where the blades are actually reversed, and they might be an intake or exhaust. So you can get into high-end bougie fans that you don't see the backs of, or every other basic fan that is basically the same design is just going to be bringing air from the blade side to the braced side. And with that, you just, like science, you just move from front to back, bottom to top. Again, that is best rule of thumb. It does change per a couple cases, like these 303s in the back. That fan layout kind of changes up. So it does change, but you know, those are a different designed case than the standard layout of this way. I hope that that is my best way of explaining where the fans should be, blowing to. And what kind of power did I not grab that? Oh my goodness, what am I doing? Did I? Did you guys see me pull out a... Okay, now I completely forgot what I'm looking for. Poop, what was that? Oh, the dongle. What? I apologize, y'all. I apparently lost something. There's no way. Ha ha ha! It's underneath that other box. Okay. I have a smart plug so I can shut. So what's a smart plug? Is that like plug into the wall or into the back of the computer? Link 4. Yeah, I'm talking to you. You're talking to me. I'm talking to you. That's pretty cool. So is that like on a remote? Or how does that work? Okay, I want... That's why I didn't get it, is because this has it on, like... We're just needing to build computers, Zachary. We don't have any Corsair stuff. That can go away. That can go away. That's why I was like, yeah, get you a Game DS power supply, because they've got this cable with them, because they're cool. You've got a low battery. All right, so now with a modular power supply, we can just grab what cables are needed to power the system. Our case itself comes with one SATA because we do have this nice light strip down there that gets a good glow on it. And then our case front panel does have RGB on it as well, so we get a pretty good glow about this. Another thing with this is, so we got two SATAs because we also have our fan hub to control our fans. So we've got our SATA cable here, so we can plug that in. I'm gonna pick, I get real picky when I'm plugging ports in. This is our 12 volt, 16 pin cable. Okay, and that goes right there, so yeah, we'll just leave that there. Why can't they put the ports next to each other that are supposed to be next to each other? There. And there we go. Okay, power supplies. How do they go into a computer case? Some power supplies enter from the back side. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Don't want our get our cables crossed here. And then have you tried turning it off and on again? Have you tried turning it off and on again? Well, after that, if that didn't fix it, did you try unplugging it and plugging it back in? A lot of times, just by unplugging your 24 pin and plugging it back in or something like that, will rewrite the system and fix itself. So always leave a little slack on the inside so that if you ever have to get in there, you're not having to undo your whole tie-up. What's for dinner tonight? What's everybody eating? Does anybody still have Thanksgiving leftovers or holiday leftovers? I know Jason does. I got deviled eggs at home. I'll eat those tonight. What was your favorite stuff that you had last week for the holidays? Does anybody like ham and turkey, or just the ham, or just the turkey, or oven, or smoked? We are a oven and smoked turkey house, but we've gotten a lot smaller of birds now that Mima and Grandpa aren't around anymore. That was the one thing I really missed about Grandpa. Would always buy, like, I never remembered, like 200 or 300 turkeys and donate them to the church for food drives, and that was always fun, going and helping out. It's always nice helping other people out. Boop, boop. And why is it only ever made like one day a year? Like, how come the best foods of the year are only ever like holiday foods, and you get them like, here's once or twice a year. Hopefully you enjoy it, because we're not making it for another 365 more days. Like, why? Why does stuffing only get made once a year? I see it out there on the shelves all year round. But then, you know, like, I only make my sausage. I make sausage balls on Thanksgiving. They're pretty good. It's a bag of Bisquick, a bag of cheese, and a link of Jimmy Dean sausage. And you just mush it all together, and you can make you whatever you want. Nana right now, she doesn't like when I gotta make like little teeny bite size. All yours is gone about 3 days ago. Yeah. We went to Sam's and found they had a pumpkin crumble cake. I'm not big on pumpkin crumble pie. I'm not big on, we talked about this a couple weeks ago. The only good pie out on the market is a chicken pot. But I do enjoy a good pumpkin crumble pie, apparently. We took that for Friendsgiving. I ate like a quarter of it there. Oh. That was a hard night driving home. Okay. Installing a graphics card. What do we want to look out for? What can go wrong? How scary can it be? Yes, it can be scary, just like our memory modulars installing something. Unlike our memory modulars, this is sadly inside the case, but don't fret. It is easy to do. Step 1, unlock your PCI slot. Step 2, remove however many I/O slots. This one is a 2 slot, so we're going to be removing 2 I/Os. And now what we want to do is we want to line up our PCI on our graphics card with our PCI slot. We do have this gap that we want to mind, and we have our little hook tail in the back that sets in our clip. So we just really want to go down a straight line. I'm usually checking to verify that my front I/Os are lined up with my slot, and then slide it down. There's our little clip getting locked in place. I had to manually do it because our anti-sag bracket does kind of put a little bit of pressure on the back for it to fully seat The card is fully seated. It just doesn't allow that little click to happen. Graphics cards vary in shapes and sizes, and that kind of moves that around a little bit. Now, before I go ahead and flip it up, I want to take note. We can see our anti-sag bracket right there, right here. I am looking at this angle right here. So the one thing that we don't ever talk about anti-sag brackets is fans. If this bracket or if this fan mount wasn't as deep as it is, we would have to kind of adjust where our bracket gets mounted. So you can have graphics cards that the fans stick further out than the housings around them, and they might run into the rubber that's holding it up, and that might cause it to not spin. So what I want to do is I just want to set it up to where it will spin. Every once in a while, I have to go big brain mode on it, and sometimes that fan is sticking out halfway. So that's why I installed that one. So like this one has a full rubber pad on it, but I know that the back side here is the side that's holding the card. The fan is grazing the front of this. I might cut it in half so that it shifts it to where that fan can still spin fluidly. Just little things, you know. And then I also like attaching one at the top here just for extra security. I am a man on a mission to get everybody to LAN parties. And the best way to do it is have a system that's just set up, ready to move. Where are we going? We're going upstairs where everybody's coming out. Where are we going? We're going over to Brett's house because he's got the 20-player Switch. That's like the one piece. What's one piece of tech that you guys have owned in your lifetime that you got rid of that you wish you didn't? And I'm not talking like GameCube or Xbox. I'm talking like I had a 6-port. No, it was an 8-port. I had an 8-port Ethernet switch, so I could plug in 8 Xboxes and not need any internet, and they would all play together. It'd all sync them all together. That was my favorite piece of technology that I had to get rid of when I moved to Houston, and that I wish I still had, because that was like, your PS2 mouse? Yes, legacy mouse. I'll try and get Paul to take a picture of his workstation right now because he's rocking legacy gear right now, and I think it's funny. It's got like this big old cream keyboard. Oh my goodness. It's so good. Okay. Got some pretty sweet rocker panels for the front and back. Ooh, biting some hail. Boom. Yep. Guys, I was never good enough in Call of Duty to have one of these paint jobs, so I would love to own one of these paint jobs. But yeah, I was the weird person that was running around with the M14 only. Why? Because it's the greatest rifle known to man, and it should be able to beat out an MP5 9mm incoming. It's not that I don't like Call of Duty. I just prefer other shooters. Alrighty, bam! Let's do a couple things here real quick. I always check my fans out here. Let's get them on blue, let's get them on white. Let's do auto, and then let's sync them up with the case, because we can sync them up with the case. And then I'm going to do a little magic show of, there's some blue there. There's the dark blue there. There's the dark blue there. That's the blue there. Boom. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That looks so good. Oh my goodness, that looks so good. Oh, why does it gotta look so good? Oh man, this is so cool. So from here, I will take it, I will fast field it. You guys might know, whenever you purchase a system from us, you get a fast field email to you. That kind of lets you know along the stages of your computer being picked, getting built, getting tested, getting shipped. I am part of the build stage, so I send you upwards of 20 photos of your computer after I've built it, showing you just kind of everything. You can look over it, make sure that it is everything you want. If you want something changed up on it, that is a perfect time to ring us up and hello, ask us to do something like that for you. But once I do a fast field on it, then I take it into our testing department where, like we've said, we burn in for 12 hours. That's a pretty good chunk of change for a gaming system. If anything comes up, that's when we get it out of there, get something in there that is working properly, functioning properly for how we want, or how we want it to get to you. And then after it gets tested, then we QA it again, just give it another quality check, and then we put it into our shipping department to get out to you guys. We do have ready to ships, which ship out pretty quickly. If you see something on the ready to ship, but you're like, 16 gigs isn't enough, I want 64, you can definitely build that system on our website. You can find us on Newegg, Best Buy, Amazon, some places like that. That's usually what our ready to ships are at. But feel free to stop at our website, build something. You don't have to click purchase. I don't. I sit over there and I'll build crazy rigs, hoping someone hits purchase sometime. But thank you guys for hanging out with me today. I believe we're gonna go raid DJ. He's playing some Call of Duty new map type thing, something, I don't know. But he's playing some COD. So I will catch you later, Scooby Gang. Bye. See you next Tuesday.